Do you know what's going on? Maybe it's another drill.
Commence primary ignition.
4 Midwest Guys presents Parsecs of the Force, a time for everything Star Wars.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
I have waited a long time for this moment.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
This will be a day long remembered.
I felt a great disturbance in the Force.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Punch it!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Star Wars Parsecs of the Force, a 4 Midwest Guys production. I'm your host, B. Willie, and with me, as always, is Mr. Brian Eckenbauer.
Hey, what's up, what's up?
What's going on, B?
Not much, man.
All right, you ready to talk some Star Wars?
I'm ready to talk Star Wars.
I am, too, so let's get right into it. I already got a wrong graphic up, so we're screwing up here a little bit, but hey, that's what happens when you do these things. All right, so first topic of the night, Rian Johnson, Star Wars Trilogy may already be in pre-production. So apparently at the Empire Awards, which we'll talk about a little bit more here in a little bit, they interviewed him and or his producer, and I guess that he kind of revealed that they already, in certain things, they may already be in pre-production on, which is kind of a big deal when you think about it, because only a few months ago when he was on the Last Jedi press tour after they made the announcement he was getting his own trilogy, that he was still trying to figure out what it was all about. He didn't know what it was, who was going to be in it, or where it was going with it. It was all still kind of cloudy in his mind, or at least that's what we were led to believe. This announcement, though, would lead me to believe that, is there possibly a script? Is there possibly some sort of a storyline already in place here? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there definitely is probably a storyline, especially if he's saying they're in pre-production. But there's all different stages of pre-production. So, you know, it's pre-production for him just sitting down and saying, okay, putting pencil to paper and drawing out what scenes he thinks are going to happen? Or is this something where he's starting to collaborate with other... with like JJ, and he says, "Hey, I'm thinking about putting this scene in. Is that gonna work with anything you got? We can combine, and to save money."
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
So you're saying that maybe they might share some sets or something, or redesign some sets, or recycle some sets that maybe Nine's using and that he wants to use, or that something he's made might work in Nine from a business perspective.
Oh yeah, because anytime you share something, if you can get away with sharing it. Obviously, it's going to cut down on overall cost for both films.
Right.
And if JJ is going to have, what was Rey's homeworld?
Jakku.
So if he's going to have Jakku on there, which is a desert planet, right? And what if Ryan's going to have a desert planet on his?
Yeah.
So while they're on set together,
yeah,
they basically they're both on Jakku, essentially.
So why not?
Why not? It's already set up.
Right.
Film it as you go.
Right. Episode 9 goes first, and then you guys move in with whatever movie you're working on.
Yeah.
Interesting. I hadn't really considered that before. That's it really makes sense from a business perspective. You could definitely save some money that way, and you can produce the movies quicker. What parts do you think they're working on? Are they working on costume design? Is it maybe creature design? Are they scouting shooting locations maybe already?
I mean, they could be scouting shooting locations if they know what they're looking for. So, like, he has to have a storyboard lined up and says Rey looks out, not Rey, but character X looks out at water.
Right.
So obviously they're going to need to be near a lake or an ocean or something.
Right.
So then he's like, okay, so that's what we're looking for. He has to go through all that stuff first. But I can definitely see creatures.
Yeah.
Based on the featurette that we saw, he typically has a storyboard already lined up. But the creatures, he'll have to say, I need X creature, Y creature, Z creature. Get started on your stuff.
Okay.
Because we saw the Crystal Foxes change
as we went,
and they went from trying to be real graphics, and then it went all the way to CGI. They couldn't even use the stuff they did. They went all the way to CGI.
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of where they're at.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And just in the pre-production, like I need something that's big in the ocean.
Yeah.
Like where they did the squales.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And they're like, well, what can we create? We can do an octopus and blah blah blah.
Create this something
Right.
that looks like this, but also has this.
Right.
Right.
So maybe they're doing maybe it does something like that, or and so certain aspects are getting worked on, and they he can say, he can get started with the costumes and say, so we're doing Knights of the Old Republic. So I need you to worry about. I mean, this
Coruscant,
is this is the kind of stuff that we're going to be. So kind of get your mind around the mindset of this is the darker stuff.
Right.
So
we're gonna have 100 Jedi and 100 Sith. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or I know we're like for your set design people. I know we're going to be dealing with a lot of the Sith stuff. So it's going to be a lot of dark stuff. So think about what colors you're going to need. Obviously, you're going to probably use reds, blacks, purples.
Right.
Anything that is going to be dark, but
Yeah. I can definitely see all that. I mean, I don't think they've made it as far as casting yet or anything like that. But there is definitely storyboards, I think. And if there are storyboards, then there's probably... Would you think there's already a script for the first one, maybe? Maybe they've gotten that far?
It might be a minimal script.
Yeah.
And
first draft.
First draft. Like, way rough first draft.
Yeah.
Like he knows that he in his mind can picture several punchlines that he wants to use.
Yeah.
He's probably jotted those down.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Right? So he's probably jotted down those, and he probably, I want to have an interaction with this creature. Mm-hmm. So he writes that underneath there. He doesn't really know where the interaction is going to take place inside the movie yet, maybe.
Right.
But he knows he wants to use that line.
X, Y, yeah.
And maybe he's like, I really want to play to the fan base, and I really want to use, I got a bad feeling about this, so I know I want to put that in there. Mm-hmm. And, so maybe he does, he's already has some of that stuff written down on a piece of paper, not so much as a dialogue, but just these are lines that I want to use.
Mm-hmm. And I can definitely see them doing just doing screenshots for location shots, because I want to do an ice planet, or I want to do something more like Endor, or I want to do something completely new, maybe more swamp like Dagobah. So they're,
I really want to have a vacation. So my family's in a shirt in Bermuda, and we're gonna do it on Scarif.
There you go. Kill two birds with one stone. Good thinking. This obviously begs one more question. Timeline. I used to think it'd be 2025 before we'd see anything out of this. This obviously changes the game a little bit. Do you think 2023, 2022?
Oh, I think 2021 possibly.
Okay.
Because if he's already in pre-production, so you think by the end of this year he'll have everything flushed out, maybe casted.
Okay.
So maybe by the beginning of next year, that's 2019, that he starts shooting. You give him a whole year to shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, and then 2020 he has to flush out all the CGI and everything else, and so you're looking at 2021.
Wow, that would be something, because that would be Kenobi. If they do Kenobi, it'd be 2020 and then 2021.
Right, but you got to think he's not working on it, and we can get a movie in June and a movie in December, and it still will be
right.
It'll still be okay. And who's to say that Disney doesn't see it and say, we're going to put this on the streaming service?
No.
Movies
on the streaming service.
I don't think that would happen.
I don't either, but that'd be huge, though. If you want to get some people on the streaming service, that's the way to do it.
How many people do you think would buy it? That streaming service would go through the roof if they said, we're going to do the streaming service. You can watch it a week in advance on the streaming service.
Wow. That would be...
Okay.
Yeah, if you're going to get people on the streaming service, I would definitely do it.
You can watch it a week in advance on the streaming service. It'll release next Friday in theaters.
Right.
But we'll release it a week in advance on the streaming service. Streaming service, $19.99. Now,
the truck's back up.
Okay. Along with that movie, we also have this series, and everything else that Disney owns. It's all going to be on the streaming service as well. But that movie, 1 week prior,
exclusive. Yeah, if you really want to send it into the stratosphere.
Even better.
Okay.
Even better.
All
so
right.
1 week prior.
Yeah.
We'll show you the first 10 minutes.
Oh, just the first. That would be even better. Yeah.
First 10 minutes on the streaming service.
Yeah. Because people would be like,
exactly.
Yeah. I have to see it. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, why would you not go buy the streaming service then?
Yeah.
Because you're going to do it anyway.
Right. So why not?
But this would definitely push any of those people who were like, I'm not paying for a new streaming service. You get to see the first 10 minutes.
I like it. Maybe you should go to work as in the finance department for Disney or promotion. I guess the only other thought I have on this last thing. Do you think it's possible if he's this far advanced, could they film all 3 movies together?
Like the Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, like the Lord of the Rings, like the Hobbit, like the last 2 Matrixes, they were filmed together.
So, yes and no. No, I don't think they will be.
Okay.
Because I don't think Rian Johnson can plan that far in advance.
All right.
But if they do, and he is all fully fledged out for those 3 movies, it's going to have to be with characters, with actors who are not well known.
Yeah, because they
would have to sit across so much time. So you couldn't have anybody who was on a television series. You couldn't have anybody who was doing other movies.
Right.
And if you did, you'd really have to be stringent on getting all of that person's scenes done within like a week or 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they're on such a tight schedule.
Like we want to get
Gwendolyn Christie, Captain Phasma, but she's got to go do Game of Thrones.
Right, so we know that her Game of Thrones is doing from this to this. So we're going to get her for these 2 weeks here. So we need to put in all 27 of her scenes from the next whatever in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So can he pull that off? I don't think he can, but that would be one way of going about if you wanted to pull in somebody recognizable. Right. You're Samuel L. Jackson or whoever. If you wanted to pull somebody in,
right, bigger name,
you'd have to do that, or they would have to have their schedule wide open and just be like, okay, so we're going to need you for 2018.
So for like Keanu Reeves for The Matrix, you're going to have to disappear for 2 years, just so you know.
Yeah. Yes. So can you do that with your stuff? And they'd be like, to be in a Star Wars movie, yeah. Some people like that.
Right.
But some people aren't. And they're like, no, I have dedicated fans that I have over here on this, and this, and so.
No, it makes sense. That makes perfect sense. That makes a lot of sense, really. And it's giving me a lot of food for thought on this whole trilogy because they're announcing so much, right? Because you got this trilogy going on, you got the Game of Thrones guys and whatever they're going to do and how far along are they, and you've got Favreau, which we talked about last week with he's going to do just the streaming service, live action. You've got Filoni coming out with his series. Kenobi probably,
and you got episode 9
and episode 9. So that is a ton.
That's 7 of them.
Ton of
7 individual things, and that's not counting anything else that happens to pop in there.
Right.
That they're going to add.
That is an amazing amount of Star Wars. And I say back up the truck. I'm the kind of person that says saturate me. I can't get enough of Star Wars. So for me, I'm incredibly excited. I mean, I like goosebump kind of stuff, we could go on forever, but we have other topics to get to. So as you know, it is award season, and in typical fashion of award season, as I change the graphic here for us, The Last Jedi sweeps the Empire Awards with 5 different victories. Apparently, it was a big day for them. They took home, was awarded for Best Visual Effects, Best Costume Design, along with Rian Johnson got Best Director. It won Best Film, so it won the big one, right? Mm-hmm. Daisy Ridley won Best Actress.
Top 3.
Right. So you got
Film, Director, and Best Actress.
Best Actress. So they got 3 of the big ones. And then they honored Mark Hamill, a.k.a. Luke Skywalker, with an Icon Award. So really, really big accolades here. And from Empire, which is a more fan-based organization, right? Mm-hmm. Rather than than like the Oscars, which is obviously just the Academy and whatnot. Maybe not as well known as the Oscars, but I've definitely heard of them before, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see some positive accolades for this movie, even though I have my issues with The Last Jedi, and yes, it has pretty much split the fan base, kind of.
Yeah.
What do you think, Brian? Do you think it's good see all these awards. Last Jedi finally get recognized for maybe being the movie that it is. I really think it will be beloved as time goes on.
Yeah, and it's not so much that I think that the movie itself needed to get an award for best movie. I thought it was good, so I don't think it needed to get best movie. I don't even think Rian Johnson needed to get best director.
Okay.
Like, I think you kind of already get that. Like, I directed a Star Wars movie, blah 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 blah.
Right.
However,
comes with its own clout.
Yeah, but I think it's all too frequent when the actors and actresses and they just get dismissed. Oh, it was a sci-fi movie, or it was a fantasy movie, or whatever it is, and it wasn't hard to do that. Blah 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 blah. And it's nice to see Daisy Ridley and the best visual effects, best costume design, Luke Skywalker getting an Icon Award. It's good to see that kind of stuff for the actors and actresses.
Sure.
Because, at the end of the day, they want to have stuff to display at their house, too. And it may not be an Oscar.
No.
But they're going to put up there with the rest of them.
But instead of being the stuffy Academy, and let's face it, the Academy is political and is stuffy, this is from the fans. So to me, no offense, if I was an actor, I would love the Empire Award a lot more than I would the Oscar. Obviously, the Oscar is the pinnacle. It gets you the money. It gets you the prestige. But
I don't think the fans don't vote on these.
I don't
think the fans vote on these. However, Empire's decisions
are more fan
based,
friendly too.
Yes, more so, and they take into account how much money it made, which is how popular it was, and that kind of stuff, as opposed to, was this the cinematic blah 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 experience of them all? It's like, no, I don't give a crap about that.
None of the phony baloney stuff.
Right,
exactly. So yeah, it's really nice to see this come along, and keeping moving here with speaking of awards season, Star Wars Rebels has been nominated for Best Animated Series by the Saturn Awards. It's the 44th annual Saturn Awards. They've been around for a while, so it's nothing, nothing. It's nothing, no slouch, right?
Right.
And this award, they won this same award last year for Best Animated Series. Obviously, I think Season 4 stands alone by itself. It's a hell of a lot better than Season 3. And, I think we were talking off camera that you said Season 4 is a hell of a lot better than Season 3. And Season 3 won last year.
Right. And up against the same kind of people, up against your Archer, BoJack Horseman, Cloudy Chance of Meatballs, Family Guy, Rick and Morty, The Simpsons. It won against that last year with what we kind of felt was a subpar year with a lot of filler.
There was some.
I mean, that's kind of the
minus some real good episodes in
the
beginning and the end.
Yeah, there was some good episodes in there, but there was a lot of felt like a lot of filler episodes that we saw.
Yeah.
This season, I mean, it just felt like it was flowing so well and well written and connecting to everything else, and so I think it was 10 times better than what Season 3 was, and I'm gonna guess it went up pretty much against the same.
Probably, I'd have to go back and look it up.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it probably went against the same basis. Obviously the Simpsons are going to be on there because they've been on for
forever
since I was born.
Family Guy's in a rut, if you ask me.
Yeah, Family Guy is kind of, but Rick and Morty,
pretty popular. But
it's popular.
It's a cult following right now.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the fact that Rebels was nominated, I think it's going to win again.
Yeah,
which is very cool for Filoni. I mean, to win back to back, and then. Filoni, when he's coming out with this new one, that's going to be nominated. I'm almost going to guarantee it's especially if it's as any good as Rebels.
Rebels was, yeah. And, if anybody who hasn't seen it, and we talked about this off camera too, and you brought this up, Brian, that people who think, oh, it's animated, it's a cartoon, and all right, I'll watch it, and then they come back and go, oh my God, this was some of the best Star Wars storytelling I've ever seen, or I've experienced. This is like watching a mini Star Wars movie, and that's exactly what it was. In fact, our only criticism about the show was always it's too damn short. It's 22 minutes. Right. And so, it would be awesome for Dave to win again. It would be awesome to crown the series, even because it is the end of the series. It would be a nice little crown on it as well. Although it's obviously up for just Season 4, but overall, what a wonderful chapter! What a wonderful piece of Star Wars lore. It is definitely worthy of the canon title as it is. And
I agree.
If you guys have not seen Rebels, we've covered it here at Ford Midwest Guys since Season 2. Go back and watch it. Go buy the DVDs. I'm sure Season 4 will be out soon, but you can get started with the first 3 seasons. Phenomenal. Some of the best Star Wars storytelling, better than the movies, if you ask me. In some, some episodes.
And when you go watch it, come back to our channel, and you guys can listen to our thoughts on each and every episode, because that's what we did.
Yeah, exactly. And we just recently switched to video, so most of it is audio. But go back and listen to it, because we go in depth every episode, and I try to give out the little hints and the secrets that Filoni was doing every time, because he was really doing some serious connecting, not just with Star Wars, the movies, but with the EU, which is no longer canon. He threw a lot of that stuff back in with Thrawn and
like fan services, trying to throw some stuff into characters that people really enjoyed from the EU. They were like, and he was like, let's cherry pick stuff. Exactly. I really like that too. We can make it work for us.
Exactly. And he did a really wonderful job. In fact, for those of you who are Clone Wars fans and didn't watch Rebels, he ties up a lot of the Clone Wars stuff in Rebels. It's almost like a continuation, or he borrows stuff from Clone Wars, so you'll recognize that too. Also, Clone Wars, another phenomenal series, by the way, that Filoni started with before he did Rebels. So, overall, though, awesome idea. Awesome that it's been nominated again. I'm with you, Brian. I don't see how it doesn't win again, and here's hoping, and hopefully we can come back to you with some really good news here when the awards are given out. All right, so from award season to award-winning music, or at least we hope will be award-winning music, they have apparently John Powell, who is the composer for Solo: A Star Wars Story, has begun recording the score of Solo. Obviously, it's only 2.5 months ahead of time before the release, so seems very rushed to me. Usually this is done like 6 months ahead of time, which is kind of strange. The only thing I can think of is they just got done with these reshoots, which are supposedly not that big of a deal, are now making me think maybe this is kind of a big deal. Maybe this is a bigger thing. Maybe this is a bigger reason for the reshoots, and that they need specific music, and to save money they held it off doing the whole thing until the end. I don't know. Obviously, I think they can do it, and they'll do a fine job right at the end. They have time to do it, especially with modern technology. But what do you think, Brian? What's your take on it?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with the fact of the reshoots that Ron Howard decided when he came in and took over the project. I think that it probably would have been done 6 months in advance, because that was the timeline they had going. But then when Ron Howard took over, pushed everything back, which is why we didn't get the Solo trailer
until the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And why we didn't get that's why all this stuff has been delayed, is because that's essentially how many months Ryan Howard took in. That's what he wants to do. So Ryan Howard finally has a product where he was like, I'm done. And he says, here's what it is. So it could be that, and he's just now getting to see it, or it could be something where he's already had it done, and Ron Howard made some tweaks to stuff, to some scenes that changed the length of scenes, so which means that
more music.
Either less or more music, depending on which way he went.
Right.
So that the right sound hits at the right moment, and so maybe that's what it is. So it's could be one of two things there.
Yeah. It really makes me think, though, that these, to me, and maybe I'm just thinking of grandeur, but these reshoots are really, even these last second reshoots, are really pivotal to the movie. Like they're key scenes, and therefore they require key music, and maybe Powell had to compose something extra or something special, and that had to be added. And in order to save money, they pushed back the orchestra, bringing the orchestra together to do it all at once. I am a little, it does worry me, even with modern technology, even though I know they can do it, that they are doing it here, because if they run into any problems, your time for issues and working out issues is a little less. I mean, it's a very tight schedule,
right? And speaking of issues, you brought up a point when we were talking off camera, that John Williams is actually writing one piece of the music for the Han Solo theme, whatever you want to call it. So that Ryan Johnson, so that John Powell has to perform it, even though it's written by John Williams.
Correct. So
now it comes to the thing where here's a piece of music that I've never heard before, and I have to play it just by looking at the notes. Is this the way it was intended to be sound? John Williams is sitting there going, nope,
you're screwing it up.
Yeah. how does that play into this? So there could be some hiccups, and I mean, 2.5 months is a long time for me to think about stuff.
Sure, for us.
But, how does that work for a composer? Does a composer get typically 6 months to do something? And they get a list of...
Work it out digitally, put it through the synthesizer, mess with the sound.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. I mean, I can tell you just from learning about sound from the podcast and now doing the video, this is a shitload of work to learn and understand how it works.
And we're just a podcast, not a movie.
We're not even a movie. Well, we might be something.
We're just a YouTube channel.
For now. But yeah, so it's just all the work that we do here is intense. I can only imagine trying to do an actual score for a movie and then applying that to the key moments, the key clue, matching the sound cue to the moment and the action in the movie. And oh my God. That's now granted Disney has the money and can throw 1,000 people at it to shorten the time.
Right, but does 1,000 people help when you're trying to get one song? It's like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that is definitely the downfall. But yeah, good point on the John Williams. This is the first time John Williams is written a piece of Star Wars music, but he's not going to conduct it or record it himself. So yeah, this will be interesting. And it'll also be nice to see Han get his own real theme for once. What do you think? Do you think maybe, speaking of this theme, do you think maybe John Williams is going to make it something similar to what we've heard before in the original trilogy, so that it sounds familiar? When is it something that's going to blend in maybe, so that so we're not saying, well, why isn't that piece of music in the original trilogy? How fans can be.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of how when we got our Leia theme. Yeah. It was very similar to the Han and Leia theme, which was similar to the Luke and Leia theme.
Right.
I think that this Han theme is going to be very similar to the Han and Leia theme.
Han and Leia. Yeah.
Just with enough hints of what we consider the original theme.
Right.
Just enough hints of it in there.
Yeah.
And it might have a little bit. I know we were talking about it before. It might have a little bit more of like an Indiana Jones adventure, fast-paced theme. Mm-hmm. Just to kind of show how young he is, and it's because the music is kind of like a heartbeat, right? So, so as he's younger in this, and he's going to be more adventurous, so maybe his theme is a little more fast paced, but it does have a little bit of resemblance of the Han and Leia,
right?
Whereas when we get into the original trilogy, it kind of slows down a little bit. Right. When we got into Force Awakens, it slowed down even farther. So because he was kind of he's coming to his end, so he's coming down. His heartbeat was slowing down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That'd be awesome. Imagine us going back and watching the original show after so long, going, "Son of a bitch! It was there the whole time," because they retconned it right with music. So yeah, it's just that's the kind of stuff I love as a Star Wars fan, being the Star Wars music nut that I am. So lots of cool stuff. And then I guess the final question for this segment, Brian, do you think John Powell can ever live up to John Williams, even if he writes the perfect piece of music for Solo?
No, because I don't. To be honest, I don't think John Williams can live up to John Williams.
There's something to be said for that.
John Williams, to be honest, hasn't come up with really anything iconic since the original trilogy. He has put together songs, he's put together themes, but nothing like the Star Wars opening theme, nothing like the Imperial March.
Okay. Yeah,
and nothing like the Force theme.
Yeah.
He's done nothing that even touches those. Some of them have been very memorable.
Harry Potter's pretty memorable.
Okay.
But yeah.
But I'm talking about just Star Wars.
Star Wars, okay. Staying in Star Wars.
Just staying in Star Wars.
Okay.
A lot of stuff touches on those those three.
Mm-hmm. Plays with it a lot, yeah.
But you know what I mean? So, and it's almost like he just keeps regurgitating with just a slight twist. Or...
Yeah, he does throw in some new stuff, but it is very... mellow compared to the boisterous Imperial March or the boisterous main theme, right?
Right, and that's what so I don't think that John Powell can live up, because I don't even think John Williams can live up to John Williams.
There is something to be said for that. I could probably sit here and we could argue about it a little bit longer. The only thing that he's done that's kind of boisterous now that I can think of or as big would be the March of the Resistance, which is kind of. But it's no Imperial March, though, by any stretch of the imagination. You're right. So So yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he'll. I think he'll do it justice.
Oh yeah, he's a composer. I mean, he's a composer and he's a he's a conductor.
Yeah.
He's not going to do it any kind of harm.
Right.
He's going to do it. He's going to do a decent job, but I don't think he's going to come up with anything iconic for the solo movie. I mean, to be honest, I don't think it's going to be anything that we're going to be like, oh my god, that's awesome.
Theme is running through my head. I
Exactly.
Can't get it out.
Like it's not something you're in your backyard just going. Like you're not going to do that with the Han Solo theme. I'm just
copy. And on that, we'll leave it there. So last topic of the day. And speaking of John Williams, we're going to continue with him. Jedi News reported they picked this up out of off of an interview done with KUSC. I guess they're saying that John gave his own opinion on Rey's parentage, and basically the interviewer just asked him, do you think that Kylo Ren is lying about Rey's parentage? To which...
Yeah, do you believe
it? And John just simply replied, I don't believe it either. Okay, so a lot of extrapolation going on here by Jedi News because it's this long and they're blowing it up this big.
Right, and we don't actually get to see the video, right? It was just it was them talking about what he said.
Right.
So we don't know how the emphasis was.
Right.
Like, we don't know if it's I don't believe it either. Like, wow, I can't believe it really happened like that.
Right.
Or it's I don't believe it either. Well, like it's like, and I know it didn't happen that way, and blah, 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 and I think it's going to happen this way.
Right.
We don't know. We just know, those are the words. We don't know
or
the emphasis.
Or is he even being emphasis? Is he being coy about it? Is he going, yeah, I don't believe it either, or...
Oh, yeah. He could very well be. He could already know
what's going to happen. Yeah. So the thing is, and the story in this John's story is he doesn't start composing until he gets to see the cut of the movie, and then he starts composing it. So by that logic, he wouldn't know. However, I think you have we talked about off camera about this, and you have a very interesting business-like way of how you think John may actually compose his music. Please explain.
Right. So I think that John gets an advanced list of scenes.
Okay.
And so that he can get his creative juices flowing. Because if you get somebody down, they might put out some garbage and just be like, oh, well, I had to get it together because I was out of time. Mm-hmm. He may have gotten scenes when Force Awakens came, maybe not Force Awakens, when The Last Jedi came out. He may have gotten scenes ahead of time before it even started from J.J. Abrams, and it was Rey's parents' reveal.
Okay.
Poe's death.
Okay. Yeah, because Poe was supposed to die in the first one. Yeah.
Finn's death.
Okay.
Rey's death, just so that he can have stuff
already.
Yeah, kind of thought out. And he's like, well, that would be kind of disheartening. I would kind of make it like this, and he kind of just writes stuff out on a piece of paper, not a full ensemble of a complete theme.
Like a
just
reframe or something.
Just like couple notes in a certain, maybe like 10 or 15 notes that he knows what he wants to use because he's going to use that over and over again in this theme.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he gets that in advance so that when he does come to the thing, he's like, okay, what's this scene here? Oh, this would be perfect with this.
Uh-huh.
This would be perfect with this. So he may have already gotten
a list ahead
of time of a whole bunch of different scenes, and so that he can't really put out there what he knows.
Uh-huh.
Even though
he
knows because he's written songs for everything that could happen.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't know specifically what's gonna happen, so he hasn't really fully fledged everything out.
So therefore, are you implying that perhaps the reveal was supposed to happen in 8 when J.J. Abrams wrote the story treatment, but when Rian Johnson got it, he decided to go a different way with it, and therefore the theme was never used, is what you're saying?
Correct. I think it could have already been written for 8 ahead of time.
Okay.
Or, it could have been part of what got cut from episode 7.
Okay.
So because we went through a whole scene in 7 that didn't even get talked about in 8, where she gets the lightsaber and what the calling was and why she saw the Knights of Ren and why she did this. We didn't even touch it in 8.
No, we didn't.
So it's like, why would you show this in 7 if we're not going to get it in 8?
Unless the payoff is in 9.
Unless the payoff is in 9, and the stuff we're bitching about Rian Johnson changing at 8 was actually part of it was part of the plan to begin with.
The master plan to take us on a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, so that when we go to watch 9, and we're like, oh my God, it was right there in front of us the whole time. Why didn't we see it? Of course it makes sense now that this is how it played out. You know, and they come back and they say, yeah, so we can show you right here.
Yeah.
Here's the way it was played out. Yeah, he added some stuff in, but here's the way it played out. Obviously, it worked.
So yeah, and then that's so maybe
because we did that with Vader's reveal.
Yeah, because in Vader's reveal in Empire, and then they furthered it with Leia's reveal as a sister in Jedi. So you thinking they're trying to throw us off track with Rey's parentage and let that pay off in 9 is what you're thinking.
Well, that's been my assumption from the beginning.
Or maybe it wasn't the original plan, but that's
first time we saw Last Jedi, and I came out of it saying, I was still saying, well, we still don't know who Rey's parents are, and everybody's like, well, no, they said who Rey's parents were. They said they were nobodies.
They're junk dealers.
Rey said it herself, and I was like, no,
he's playing on her fears.
Yeah, Kylo pushed buttons and kind of forced her to say it because that's her fear.
Right.
Kylo doesn't know.
Well, if he does, he's not going to tell her the truth on that one.
Right.
Although the Sith do have, in the past, have a way of using the truth against people. I will throw that argument out there. But that was the past.
Right.
Who's to say Kylo isn't lying?
Right, but then again, if Rey is Luke's son, daughter, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. And Kylo doesn't think very highly of Luke when he says, your parents are nobodies. Because he thinks he's better than Luke. So he's like, your parents are nobodies. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it would be like if you're Han Solo's kid, or let's put it this way. So your dad and my dad play baseball.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, right.
And your dad is a hitter that hits 300.
Right.
But my dad hits 400.
Okay.
And I say, your dad's a nobody.
Like, yeah.
It's just a jab. Because my dad's
my dad's better.
My dad's better. When he says your parents are nobodies, it's because he thinks so little of whoever it is. It could be anybody,
right?
But Kylo thinks so little of everybody, especially Luke for turning on him,
right? That
he would say
they're nobody.
They're nobody.
It's interesting. It's very, very possible. I like your theories. I like, as much as I like to think John Williams and his, how you build somebody up in your mind and his greatness can pull these themes out of his ass every time. It does make more sense that he has stuff, like he's given a list of things and he has things at least somewhat pre-written out. So it's very interesting. You bring up some very interesting points. Tell us what you guys think, obviously, too. There's going to be ways to reach out to us. We'll get to that at the end, but yeah, tell us what you think. Do you think Brian's onto something here with the music? Do you think that maybe he's been given a list? Do you think that the Rey parentage thing maybe was in 8 at one point? John maybe Rey wrote the music for it, and it didn't get done because Rian Johnson comes along and goes, I'm not doing that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Tell us and let us know. So I would love to hear everybody's thoughts on that. So, all right. Okay, so that wraps up our last topic for the day. So real quick, where can you find 4 Midwest Guys? Well, this is how you can get in touch with us. The best place to go is www.4midwestguys.com. Again, that's 4midwestguys.com. One more time, the number 4midwestguys.com. There, everything is listed. All of our podcasts are listed. These video shows are listed in chronological order. You can get links to our iTunes, to our Podbean, to our YouTube channel. Obviously is where the most latest and greatest and up to date is right now. You can reach out to us on Twitter and Facebook too, so please follow, like, and subscribe. If you are on Twitter, you can follow us at 4MidwestGuys. Brian, where can they find you?
They can find me at AnkZone.
Okay, and the new thing, the Stardust again, is also at AnkZone, or is it just AnkZone?
It's on my app. It just says AnkZone, but I'm pretty sure if you tag me,
okay,
you have to put at AnkZone.
Okay.
Stardust is the new reaction app where you get to record 30 seconds of your thoughts about what you just saw. So whether it be a movie, TV show, basically anything you can just talk about. If you just want to say, how's your day going, blah, 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 you get 30 seconds to do so.
Okay.
But it does categorize it when you select what show. So like most recently I've done, I did one for Jessica Jones.
Season 2.
Yep. I did one for Annihilation.
Okay.
And I did one last night for Krypton.
Yeah.
For the pilot episode of Krypton. But if you guys want to download the app, I did get a message from Stardust telling me that if I can get 5 more people to follow me, that I'll become a super user.
All right.
So if you want to download the app and then find me at Ankzone and follow me, if I get 5 more of you guys, then I'll become a super user on Stardust.
All right, very good. In fact, I got a great idea for this first Stardust. So why don't you guys, if you, on the whole music of John Williams and how all that's done, and whether you think John, so the question will be, do you think John just creates the music as he goes, or do you think he's more business like Brian says? So why don't you reach out to us on Stardust at Ankzone, find that, and leave us a 30-second clip about what you think, how John does his music.
Yeah, and then what we can do there is we'll figure out a way to get it up on...
I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll get a way to we'll put it up on screen, and we'll get you on our next podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So also, to finish this off real quick, though, if you're on Twitter, you can follow myself at bwilly1977. And Brian also has another thing on Instagram.
Yeah, on Instagram we're doing we got the pics and stuff, behind the scenes footage of our set studio here, and a little bit beforehand and after of what goes on. Those you can find at _real_ank.
Yeah, so definitely check that out. So some kind of cool behind the scenes if you want to see me screwing around with the computer, cussing out the computer. It's a great place to see, and it is kind of cool, just behind the scenes stuff, some fun stuff that we like to do. So please check us out there as well. And so I'm going to one other thing for fan interaction. I am introducing a brand new segment to the show. It is called the Galactic Senate Point of Debate. So every show I will throw out a question. You guys can answer that question by going to Twitter and hitting hashtag POTF, which stands for Parsecs of the Force, and answering it. So I thought I'd start off with a good one. That being, so this week's question for you, the Galactic Senate, you the fans, is: after the fallout from The Last Jedi, should Rian Johnson still get to make his own Star Wars trilogy? So again, that is after the fallout from The Last Jedi, and let's face it, there has been some fallout. Should Rian Johnson still get to make his own Star Wars trilogy? So again, send us your tweets, tweet your answers to hashtag POTF, and we'll put some of the best answers that we find on next week's show. So definitely reach out to us. So lots of ways to reach out to us. We want you to interact with us. We want to talk Star Wars. I love to talk Star Wars 24/7. If I could, I would. So this is a way for you to reach out to us and become part of the show, become part of the conversation. I would love to hear from you guys. So, all right. So with that in mind, Brian, I want to thank you for joining us for this week's show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. And this is B. Willie saying, "May the Force be with you always."